We can't see smiles. Or the cat creeping into frame slowly.
So this is going to be a conversation.
I have to face you. This is weird.
Yeah, you should. I mean, I just wanted you to move your legs so that I could kind of squeeze into the shot, but not necessarily.
Japanese commercial.
Yeah. Did you lose your water, or is that your water over on the counter?
I've placed it.
Let me go get it for you.
It is my water. Yes.
Okay, so since 2004,
thank you,
and we're having this conversation about creativity and creative outlets and being creative about things because right now I am doing comic strips,
right?
Which you had wonderful things to say about.
Oh, I love them.
Very short while ago. Although you didn't read yesterday's comic.
Admittedly,
you don't read them.
I haven't read any of them.
But you love them just the same.
Them. I love them like a child I've never had or got to love.
Because when was the last time you made a comic strip?
Ooh. When was the last time I did
Explorers of the Unknown stuff, right?
2004 and a half, 2005.
God.
It's been so long ago.
Which is funny, I think.
Not entirely true. In college, I did a comic strip, a sequential art comic strip.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. I never saw that.
It may or may not exist anymore.
Oh, okay.
It was a 5-page sequential art about the Prince of Persia, and it was really hard on for the Prince of Persia at that time. 2010, 2009, a hard 2009 I'm going now.
Okay.
But it wasn't that good. I started really, really well in the first 2 pages, and then it just kind of downside from there. I would focus into one key drawing on the page that I would put all my heart and soul in, and by the end of it, I just don't want to do it anymore.
How long? Because I can tell you that, you know, for all my comics are generally like 3 panels. I try to stay within that 3-panel format.
Of course, right. Sunday comic strip mode.
And actually, that I take a lot of most of my inspiration has come from the funny pages.
Right. Right.
I want, like, I don't want to do storylines.
No.
I want a punchline. I want everything to be self-contained.
And then it's over.
I want any random person to pick up any random strip and get. That's all they need to know. It's right there in the strip.
Course, yeah. No getting involved or attached below.
Right. So what I can say is that from start to finish, I could probably take a couple of hours to produce a comic strip.
Right.
Which I'm at a point right now, I'm 18 strips into it, where it's like, okay, now it's getting to be a little bit of a hassle. Why can't this go any faster? How long would it take you to draw that strip?
Well,
how long do you think to sketch, to ink, to color, letter? I mean, start to finish.
I think the main theory behind the time debate isn't how long it's actually going to take you to draw it, because you can knock out anything in a matter of hours. The problem is motivation. If you're not motivated to draw something, there's no point in finishing it, and you trick yourself into giving up really fast because you don't want to be. You're like, I'm a slave to this comic. I'll show that son of a bitch.
I think that's very insightful and very interesting, but I'm actually feeling insecure about how long it takes for me to draw.
Oh.
Like, I know what I'm doing, and it's three simple panels.
Right.
And
it's taking too long.
And I'm insecure about how long that actually takes.
Not very long.
It shouldn't take?
Shouldn't take long at all.
Okay.
Well, it depends. What's your production process? Are you doing pencils, lines, colors, scans, or?
I'm doing everything either on the iPad or the Wacom tablet.
You're talking start to finish.
But it is that same process where I sketch it, I ink it, I color.
Right.
So all the steps are there. It's just all digitally.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then everything is hand drawn at this point. All of the lines or the word bubble lines, all of that's hand drawn. The only thing,
which is admirable and not seen very much nowadays.
I like the look of it.
And it looks great, barring that I have not read them. I have seen them with my eyes. It's like, you say you've read the comic book, but in fact you've looked at the cover and flipped through 2 pages and you're done. Oh, I've read that comic now. Not so much. But any quality product is going to take a little bit longer than normal. I wouldn't beat yourself up about the time process as long as you're happy with the finished product. Because
going back to a little bit more of the philosophical end of it, that's the other one of the things that I enjoy about it is that it is this complicated process, and it is a little zen because I can just it helps me shut down my brain, the obsessive parts of my brain, and I can just focus on
immersing yourself in
or rather point to the obsessive point of my brain to getting this line, and just creating
your brain
that,
down,
rendering that image.
You stop thinking and just start doing, and let your hands and eyes do it.
I actually want to back up because I don't know who's going to be listening or watching this. If me. Anybody, not you for sure. And I don't know.
I love it though. I already love this.
And I don't know if anyone's going to really be familiar with you. Probably not. So I wanted to.
That's a little hurtful.
Well, I mean, certainly I'm bringing my audience to it, right?
Right.
So the handful of people that are reading the comics, know me.
I
know
have
who I am.
Friends on Facebook.
Well,
I'm past the 700 mark on friends.
Well, how many of those friends know you intimately, as I do?
Oh.
Not like that. I mean, like the fact that your background is in illustration, in character design. Yeah. That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about how you went from drawing, where that came from, why that is your thing, your creative outlet, and then how you transitioned from that, actually, because that's actually something I don't know, how you went from how the leather working became a thing, and then how that has, I get the sense that it's supplanted the drawing.
You don't want me to begin Interview with the Vampire a la David Copperfield. I was born, I grew up.
No, I don't care about that.
No.
I want to know about where the creativity, how the drawing started.
Let's focus on. The drawing started when I was bored and had no friends in elementary school, and I grew up on a farm in the middle of nowhere. Let's backtrack and say it wasn't a farm. I say it was a farm because it was a farm setting, trailer, redneck parents, wasn't so redneck, didn't fit in, all that good stuff, didn't have any friends, so I made my own and drew everything I could. And as time progressed, I got better at it, sharpened my tools, what have you, and all that good stuff. And then started to lose myself, immerse myself, if you will, into my own world, and I was content there. And where many people don't have the ability to come up with something in their head, let alone transfer it to a piece of paper and give it life. And I had that talent, and it seemed like such a waste not to use it, as other people could not do that. So to answer the question, bored, art, good. And then art wasn't enough. I started drawing after going to college. That's probably where I stopped drawing a little bit. I still sketched, and I still tried to finalize and hone the talents of the end process, such as penciling, inking, scanning, coloring, and then go digital with it and all that good stuff. And that was really fun. But it was ultimately just adding more tools to my toolbox and sharpening those tools, which is exactly where leatherworking comes in. Because I was so bored of the medium of drawing, I needed something else. And honestly, simply enough, I had a wristband that I really liked. I traded a gypsy girl at a Renaissance fair out of, and gave her a necklace for it. I really liked that wristband. I really just wanted to recreate it and have another one, but they're so expensive. So I decided, well, it's time to pick up a new tool for art. And I went and bought leather and scissors and a hammer and rivets, and I tried my hand at it, and I was horrible at it. I sucked so bad. I found something I made when I first started off just the other day, and I embarrassed it and put it to fire. It was that bad.
You just couldn't look at it anymore. So you couldn't. Destroyed it. It was a purging
leading me to a realization that you have to suck at something for a very, very long time to be good at it later. You have to fail. Failing is a natural part of the process. Failing is becoming better at doing something you weren't adept to do in the beginning.
Now I want to step back again because one of the things, again, we've known each other for a while, and one of the things you know about me is I'm quick to criticize.
Very. And it's like you have your finger over the starting line, waiting for the gun to go off.
And I have no qualms about it.
No, well,
and if I do, I keep it to myself, right?
Debatable.
Fair enough.
This water's delicious. What is it?
Well, it's from Nestle, so
that explains.
That could be
full
it.
Of chocolate.
As far as drawing goes, you helped realize some of the, they're explorers of the unknown existed before you.
Yeah,
and the character designs existed before you, but you helped refine them to kind of what they look like today,
which
in various places.
Devil of a process.
So that's where you and I started, And since then, you've done you did the cover of Zaphod Zombie,
correct?
The Queer Puppeteer and a Zombie Puppet Friend,
Explorers of the Unknown, the Vampires,
vampire cover, and there I guess the first project was like, what was it, like a 6 or 7 page mini comic of Explorers of the Unknown? That prologue to
20 pages.
I don't think it was.
It
that
wasn't
long.
7 pages.
That's the washer.
It scared me. I thought it was a giant cat.
Should we talk over it or just wait for it to finish?
Let's just roll with it.
And then maybe edit it out later. We'll just talk over it.
Let's talk over
it, okay.
It's an interesting, it's like we're transported into nature now. That's a waterfall.
So what is interesting is that you to me, you always had this ability to sit down and then just create,
correct,
render these images that were in my head.
Yeah. Sometimes acceptable, sometimes not so much. You don't get it right on the first try.
But you were always able to get there, and that was less of a problem with you and more just communicating what I saw in my head.
Right. Yeah.
Communicating what I wanted as far as the image goes. So we would always do those kinds of projects, but I again like we
long
I never
markers.
I never saw you create your own. And I guess not to put too fine a point on it, but I always viewed you as my tool.
Of course,
as a tool,
exactly
to create something.
What I was saying in the van on the way here from Sunny.
And I never and I'm not saying that more is a reflection on me, but I'm saying I never saw you create your own. You would draw Nightcrawler, these single
fan art.
images,
right, correct,
fan art again. Yeah, that's a great example. But I don't recall you ever creating your own, taking full ownership of something yourself until, you got into that leatherworking, that steampunk, and then all of a sudden, and which is what we were talking about earlier, I mean, you found your niche.
Right.
And you've really, obviously, clearly, you've been able to exploit that niche, grow in that niche, and make something
become
of it.
very Facebook popular, yeah.
So what I think is interesting is, you demonstrated this amazing talent at illustration, and my criticism was that you would never take it that extra step.
Now I'm jogging, I'm sprinting with it.
What happened? Was it just figuring out, hey, I like this leatherworking and steampunk? What was, like, creatively, what was that? Let's go back to which is where we are here.
Right, yep.
What was that switch that inspired that motivation?
Frankenstein toggle. Throw the switch
of motivation.
Bring that creative monster to life.
Where did that happen?
Probably working a 9 to 5 job for too long, and definitely a lot of weird love triangles. No, I wouldn't say triangles. That's a terrible. Edit that part out.
I'm not going to edit any of this.
Damn you.
Any of it.
I said triangles. I meant to say complicated romances. There you go. That one. Either way, the switch that was thrown was the 9 to 5. Every 9 to 5 job I've ever had, I've always sat at the desk, chained to my computer, looking at the window at nature and being like, man, I feel like an animal inside caged glass, and I just want to go out and play. And then it dawned on me that everything I've ever done work-wise has always been to better someone else's goal, and the only goal I've used work to achieve is paying a bill or paying rent or trying to get something meager and materialistic I want. Ooh, new toy. Ooh, new figure. I've never, like you said, I've never used my tools or my talents to try and really better me. So I got tired of that, and then I found something I was good at. And I guess, like you said, getting successful as far as my talent skill goes has really been a huge motivator. Because whereas you can sketch a stick figure, then sit and look at the stick figure and be like, oh, I'm really proud of that. But if 300 people or 500 people or even a few people come by and say, that's really good stuff, I like that, i.e. my leather work and drawing, if they really appreciate it, they're like, check out my friend's stuff, look at his leather work, look at this, look at that, then I feel important, then I feel like my stuff is being noticed, more of a reason to do it, and it's making me happy. Also, if the talent and skill is paying the bills and paying for itself, there's no reason not to just keep doing it. So I just broke out like a crazed Frankenstein monster and said, I'm not going to just sit here and work 40 to 80 hours for furthering someone else's goals when it's doing absolutely nothing for mine. So I just kind of stood up and wouldn't take anything else for an answer.
So everybody is clear. You are making money doing your leather work.
Yeah.
And you do some consulting with art and
right,
that
creative
still
consultation. Because a lot of people that can pay for the art, big business, you know this as well as anyone. Big businesses that are like, we have a vision, and we want to, but they don't know what the vision is. Mm-hmm. They know it's there. It might not be their vision, but they know it's out there, and they want to obtain it, and want to have it, want to put on film or paper or advert or anything, billboards or what have you. Or a side of a car, and they want it out there and they want it done. They don't know what it is.
So you're saying that it was positive reinforcement from others that convinced you,
among other things, yeah,
that this was actually a career path. This was actually a viable thing for you to be doing.
Yeah, that, and I guess if you want to simplify it even further, it just makes me happy. If you do something that makes you happy, why not do it?
Why did you need other people's affirmation to understand that that's what made you happy?
I guess it's just the affirmation for other people is just the final nail in the coffin of, if other people say it's really good, it must be really good. No, I thought it was okay. I thought my stuff was always okay, but when other people say it's okay, it makes you think, wow, it's getting notice.
How critical do you think you are of your own material?
Fairly damn critical. I don't put out anything that's
which I think is a fair statement for anybody who actually invests any time into creativity.
Correct.
Everyone's going to be super critical. I have this conversation with Sam almost on a weekly basis right. about Caffeine, the feature film, and it's in a festival right now.
Which is great, by the way.
That you have another thing you've never seen. I haven't
watched it. No, I've been meaning to. It's in my instant queue on Netflix.
It's not on Netflix, although it might. If it gets accepted in the festival and it does well, Netflix might buy it.
Which
that might happen.
They've been making some smart moves, but this isn't about Netflix.
But that's a conversation we have. Is I know it's unique. I know it's special because it's one person making a movie by himself, and it's a feature-length film, and it's watchable.
Right, yeah.
It's not like, turn it on, oh my god, horrible, like we were just watching, that we'll talk about later. But it's watchable. It tells the story that I wanted to tell. It is it is by one person. But when you put that film in a festival with other independently produced films,
right, yeah,
is the fact that it's produced by one person just a gimmick?
Right.
Or will it actually stand? So I'm very, very self-conscious about it. I'm very critical about that.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. I actually don't know if it's a good movie. I think it's a good movie, but I don't know. So I get how, and I make this argument all the time to people.
Right.
We create for an audience. A lot of people don't right. agree with that. I mean, I think there's a portion where, yes, you're doing it because you need to do it, and it's for
right.
you, and it makes you happy.
Yeah.
But by virtue of creating...
You want people to see it and admire it.
Exactly.
Right, correct.
Exactly.
Now, do you think you're more self-critical because you are more self-critical of your own work, or because you're afraid to disappoint the fans and the people that are actually, in love with your
I
work?
think it's the Jewish black hole.
Oh, right.
The black hole of Jewishness.
Had to play the race card. I think everybody has that, self-doubt, that right, neurosis, yeah. And I think the more creative you are, the deeper that neurosis Paul Wes
goes.
Anderson is one of those people we were just talking about that just makes it for him. He sits in the backyard of his own house in his green screen and makes Resident Evil movies back to back with his wife and his close friends in the movie industry.
I still think there's probably a part of him that goes, I really hope they like this one. I really hope they like this one.
It's a small child chained in the dungeon of his subconscious.
It could be.
Being fed breadcrumbs of box office receipts. Quote me for saying that, please.
It's on.
Right.
It's recorded.
I just want to be on Facebook.
You don't. You wanted the Facebook, like the image and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
The graphic. If okay, you got to do it towards the camera so we can grab the still.
And then I want right here a picture of Michael Bay, Michael Bay,
and an explosion.
You're right. Yeah, and then a lens flare in my eye if I could.
Okay, so
back on track. Sorry, I had to hate Hollywood for a split second. I don't understand Hollywood. They have limitless, bottomless pockets pouring money into these franchise films that fail. No one has any original ideas. It's all raping and, pardon the expression, butt-fucking the childhood of every... What? Make that face.
I'm appreciating what you're saying.
Don't edit that to just say butt-fucking the child. I'll be arrested. immediately, and for good reason saying that. But fucking the childhood of every 80s person or a 90s person that ever existed and fell in love with RoboCop or, Transformers, and then seeing, this filth that's
but then we have Star Trek, which
2 hours.
Which is
J.J. Abrams is the man.
Of a reboot,
right?
And yet this
successfully
is
done. Successfully done.
It's a perfect film.
It's not an insult. It's a remake. It's a beautiful vision that's remake has been fulfilled and completely done perfectly.
Certainly, there are stories out there that
I just hope
were produced, and movies and TV shows that were produced. Look at Buffy. The movie was. They weren't there yet.
Right, exactly, yeah. And now the following
TV series,
behind the TV series is enormous.
Yes.
Yeah, it's funny the way that
TV
looks
series realized what the movie couldn't.
Let's hope we can jump from YouTube to Netflix.
That's the qualifier. The qualifier is that some remakes, like Star Trek, I think, really realized an idea that,
hasn't been fulfilled until now. Right.
We have the technology now to actually make really amazing,
absolutely correct,
science fiction film.
I'm not objecting to putting a new slab of paint on Star Trek or the Enterprise or what have you. I am against the bastardization of a childhood property that so many kids and young adults fell in love with back then. RoboCop being first and foremost among them. Teenage Mutant. I don't know if they're called Mutant Ninja Turtles now or just Teenage Ninja Turtles.
I think
they're going with mutants. I think now.
I think he's saying yes. I think I saw that. There was a miscommunication from the get-go. Mm-hmm. It's the ooze, that's alien.
Interesting. Yeah.
It was never meant to be
alien turtles.
Bastardizing the turtles. It was the ooze. And it could be just backtracking or whatever, or maybe it was a true miscommunication. But yes, it's the ooze. It's
a foreign substance. Yes. It's the alien that brings... It's going to be awful. I've seen a couple of the promo shoots for it. It looks like he went next door to the Transformers stage and knocked on the door and said, "Hey guys, on your lunch break, all you military personnel extras come over and put on these foot soldier masks and pretend to hold guns."
Right.
And that's what it looks like.
But let's get back to
RoboCop. Yeah.
No.
Awful. Tron helmet and a Batman suit. That's what RoboCop's wearing nowadays, and he has a Michael Jackson hand.
This is just
horrible.
I can't comment. I haven't seen anything about it. And I'm not that interested.
Fair enough.
You have.
I'm invested.
Okay.
I have a RoboCop T-shirt or two.
There you go. The T-shirt, which is level.
I went out of my way.
Depends on how many T-shirts you have.
About 4.
Okay.
I've made a couple that were.
So on a scale of T-shirts, you're 4 T-shirts invested.
I'm 4 T-shirts deep in this bad boy.
So let's go back to the leatherworking and the personal creative. Hi, Sam.
I thought that was a mouse. It scared the shit out of me. It's not that I'm frightened of mice. Yeah, it's a fur.
Well, the fact that it would be sitting right there.
If it runs and scurries off, I'm just going to get up and leave.
How important do you think it is in your career to pick and choose what you do?
Completely important. Holy God, that goes right back around to how long does it take to finish something. If you're not motivated, it's going to take forever and you're going to hate it, and you're not going to pour all the love and care and syrup and honeydew that you usually pour into your product. For instance, if I'm doing something that's my idea that I'm excited about, awesome, I'll spend all day and night on it. It'll look great, like most of my stuff on Facebook and my website and all that good stuff has been looking, because that's me actually making something for myself. So naturally I'm excited about it. I have free reign over creative control, and no one over my shoulder saying, yeah, but I kind of wanted it like that. That being said, when someone comes to me for a commission and it's not something I can get behind or something I'm excited about, or if too many hiccups come along, I get demoralized and demotivated, and then it just sits there and I stare at it and I just fume over it and don't want to do it.
Have you had the experience where you're working on commission that you couldn't finish it because it was so horrible?
Yeah. Oh yeah, a couple times.
And what have you done with the good ideas?
The good ideas as far as the commissions from others?
No. Bless you. The idea is like, okay, so you're hired for a commission.
Right.
I'm sure you could fill in the gaps of the specifics. You're hired for a commission. They say, we want this, that, or the other thing. You deliver what you think is awesome, and they say, okay, that's good, but I want to let's change all of this, and essentially turn it into crap. What do you do with the good ideas?
The good ideas, I turn the good failed ideas Good question.
The rejects.
Right, correct. I've got a perfect example already ready for you. That's happened twice. Once was for a graphic design job, and usually not to give myself a big head or pat myself too hard on the back, but I usually nail things in the first couple tries anyway, because like we've said before, most people have the resources, not with you.
Because we've done a couple of things
which have not been so par.
No.
It takes a couple tries. Yeah. Well, that was the motivation. That was nothing but long nights, being bullwhipped by a savage master and Sharpie marker sticks everywhere.
Yeah. Well, I was referring to more recent.
No, that's what I was referring to. Yeah. Recently, it was a graphic design job, and I usually nail things on the head, and I've got really great ideas that I just, people are like, we kind of want this, and I'm like, I already got it. It's in my head right now. Here, this. And they're like, perfect. That's usually how my jobs go. Thank God. Knock on wood. But lately I had a graphic design commission where I had an idea. I told them. They said, that was perfect. That's kind of what we're looking for. And I drew it up and they're like, yeah, we kind of want it like this now. So I redid it. And I did 11 different drafts of what I think they might what direction they might be going in. No, we kind of want it like this now. And it was completely opposite. So it was like, I felt like they were jerking me around. Whereas we want it like this, I delivered that. No, we kind of want it like this now. Okay, I delivered that. No, now we kind of changed our mind and want it back like that. So that was the graphic design job, and I felt jerked around, and it left me in a position where I really didn't care. So I just was like, you know what? I haven't been paid to do it. I told them I would do free concept work, and if you like my design, we can talk about rates and everything like that. Then I would put all the 110% effort into it and make it look shiny. But I felt so demoralized by it. I was just, you know what? This isn't going to work for me. I'm not going to take the commission. More recently, leatherworking. I was asked to do a mask based on a mask I'd already done. They said, we love your mask. How can we, make this work? And I gave them a really good rate because they, wanted to use it for their film. They were, willing to put my products or my costumes and me in the film and help me out, which was fine. And again, this isn't bad talking anyone. This is just truthfully what went down. I did a concept sketch of what the mask was going to look like based on the original concept sketch that was sent to me. It looked good. He approved it. The director approved it. Everyone said it was good. I began construction. So I get halfway into it, which is me cutting out the pieces, me getting the parts ready and assembled, and me tooling and embossing the entire mask and getting into the final stages of coloring and hand painting and all that good stuff and texturizing the entire thing. And I sent a picture of it to him. And I was met with, the embossing or tooling didn't really come across right in your design sketch, which I don't know why it wouldn't have, because it was exactly what I drew. Mm-hmm. So they said they weren't liking that too much. Can we do something else? So I basically was paid a $200 fee. The first $100 was the deposit for materials, which I wasted on the mask that I made, which was their failure, what you're saying, mm-hmm. The reject. So it was, sorry, is there anything you could use that on? And I was like, well, you basically just wasted my profit of, a scant $50 mm-hmm. to make something I wasn't going to make to begin with. So I was kind of miffed by that, a little bit depressed by it. And then they were like, well, let's get back to you. And then they seen something else I made on my website a week later and said, we love that. Can you do that to the mask? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I did that to the mask and then painted it and sent them a picture, and they're like, we love it. Done. Okay, it's in a box, it's shipped to you. Here's the tracking number. Thank you. Come again.
So you were able to actually just recover the reject and transform it into
the reject in the sense that I made it into whatever color I wanted and themed it however I wanted it. It became a different project. I reabsorbed the failure mm-hmm. and made it into something. Now it's part of that Steampunk Bane I did for MegaCon. That's the actual mask for Steampunk Bane. It's the reject. And everybody loves it. Everybody wants it.
Oh, so you built them a new mask?
Completely new mask.
Okay.
Which is, all my profits eaten up in the whole subject. But again, something good came out.
So that's interesting. And as far as leatherworking goes, if there is a reject or if you're working on a commission and they don't like the product that you've made, I mean, you can always take those materials.
Right. Yeah.
They can be recycled,
reintegrated into a bigger, grander design.
You know, go back to the first story, which was very typical for any graphic designer.
Correct. Completely.
What
correct.
happens to that idea? Is it dead? Is it dead to the world?
Dead. I'm not interested in pursuing it anymore. It brings back such negative memories that it demoralizes and demotivates me from even sketching anything like that.
See, for me, what I'm doing is I invented the Pebble 102.3 radio station, just this fake radio station.
Right,
I need a fake car dealership. I need to come up with these just so I can take, you know, all of because I mean, I think 90% of, just because of the situation I'm in, 90% of the fresh ideas I come up with are dismissed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's just
painful.
It's horrible.
I bet. Yeah.
But that's the nature of the beast of the work that I do.
Of course,
I have to come up with 10 brilliant ideas so that they'll be happy with one of them.
Where does that leave you? When do you stamp your foot down and say that's enough?
These
are good ideas. God damn it!
The idea is at least to have take the idea and turn it into something for the portfolio.
Right.
That's where I'm at right now. They're in the comics. I think I'm trying to take it. That's that one extra step. At very least, you know, an idea is never gonna. If it's a good idea, it'll go into the portfolio somewhere in some form or another. I think that you know, when I wrote Film School Rejects, which was this 5-episode television show that was written for you and I.
Yep. Yep.
We never produced it in really any form, but it was written years and years ago for you and I to do in this condo. And when I was writing it, I was taking notes all the time, and I was taking inspiration from any and every little thing. And it was this random little thing that would wind up in the script. A Chia Pet store, the As Seen on TV store, had absolutely nothing to do with any of the story, any of the stories of the show, but there was that little detail. And I'm kind of putting myself into that mindset again, where I'm taking notes, maybe not necessarily actual notes, but I'm noting things. And in the case of, you know, work, you know, these are creative ideas.
Right. Yeah.
They're good ideas. I don't know how they're going to fit into the comic strip, Seminal Works Are for Porn Stars. I don't know how they're going to fit into that right now or 8 strips down the line, but I'm going to take it, I'm going to jot it down, and what actually has happened in the past several weeks is these ideas just end up taking on a life of their own. I'll be in the shower and boom, there it is, and I have the whole strip based on that one little nugget. So I'm just starting to kind of inventory ideas in that respect, so because the alternative is having
hard drive
90% of your work dismissed as not that it's bad, but not because it's not right, and just sinking deeper and deeper into this depression and frustration with life. And
because then you look and you see a mountain of failure as opposed to a mountain of success.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to wade into that bog and pick out all the failures you want to turn into successes.
How do you stay? And I think you've had this experience probably 18 times in the past 6 months, maybe. You probably have been good for the past few months, but I mean, in the past year or so, I think you've probably had a lot of frustration and challenges with staying creative.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
You know, and even
Life's
though
really good about throwing out hurdles and pitfalls for you to just drop.
What is the best? What do you find is the best way for you to just kind of stay focused and I don't want to say stay productive, because you know, I'm at a point where it's not necessarily about producing, but you know, like in the comics, it'll get done when it's done. It's the act of just creating it. You know, just staying.
I'd like to say alcohol, wine, copious amounts of wine and rum chata, but that's not the answer, because that's the old guy at the boat saying, "Come, distractions, haha," or internet, same thing. Emotional discontent and trauma is definitely a huge killer of productivity. Happiness, I've found, and having a muse is a huge boon in the creative process and the productivity process.
So is the process really kind of just trying to avoid misery, or
definitely.
excise the miserable elements of life? And,
right, yeah.
Less because you know what makes you happy, you know what you like.
Yeah.
It's more for you specifically.
It's hard to create a good product or a good thing when you're so down and depressed. It just really is. Because if you love what you do, it's shown in your work. And time again, I've said this to everyone. You know, anyone that's pays me the compliment, if your stuff looks really good, I'd simply say I love what I do, and it shows in my work because I'll put the extra bit into it. If you're down and depressed, you can't put your love into your work, and you can't be excited about anything because all that's on your mind is, I'm so fucking angry and depressed, or sad, or whatever, you know, bitchy moany excuse you have. A pair of those pants. Lost track. So happiness, I find, is great. Happiness is great for creators and creativity. There are some people out there that are very emo and gothy, and they truly thrive, like emo singers, bands of the 2000 era. They thrive on depression and all that good stuff. But I just don't see it. When I'm depressed, I can't do a damn thing but sit in the shower. And
it's for me, it's like that it's a cyclical thought process,
right,
and I can't get creative around that. It's just because it just dominates my brain.
Exactly.
So it's this thing where everything has to be worked out and resolved fully before
the planets have to align before you can have a creative, productive thought come full circle.
That's what I wrote in the six strip arc, the first arc in Seminal Works, is this nugget of an it's called the creative process, and it starts as this nugget of an idea,
right,
and it arcs to something that is kind of meaningful and is almost fully formed, and then there's this huge conflict. And then it just, poof, it's gone.
Yeah.
And then it picks up several weeks later after everything's resolved, and it's had this time to
ferment,
evolve, and solidify. Exactly.
Right.
Yes. It's that. I hope it'll be funny, and I hope Sam won't hate me too much for it, because the conflict has to come from somewhere.
Okay, right. Yeah. Without conflict, there's no interesting thing to look at.
And it's supposed to be true to life, somewhat true to life.
Yeah,
inspired by.
You're a machine that likes to suck in reality and pump out your vision of it. You know.
What do you think of my vision of reality? You haven't seen it.
No.
You love it, but you haven't seen it.
I love
You're gonna watch it one day.
It's really good. I say that because I know you, and I've been friends with you long enough to know what you put out, and I don't have to watch something to know it's going to be good. You know, it's going to be catchy. It's going to be fun. It's going to be, involve a huge thought process.
It's just not worth your time watching it.
Yeah.
You already know it's going to be good. You just watch things to find out if they're good or not.
That is very, very crude of me. I should say it's not that it's not worth my time. It's just who has the time.
Sure.
The last video I watched was on YouTube, and it was probably 5-second films because I had 5 seconds to spare for a link.
Okay.
If it's long and drawn out, I can't get invested into it without it being on Netflix in an instant queue and be able to power down.
Yeah, it's weird. There's a lot of different viewing habits, and I understand that. But at the end of the day, it's still just another feature film,
Right.
Yeah. But I have the same thing. There are movies that I want to watch that I haven't.
Right. And
I don't want to sit down.
I have
and
wasted 78 minutes of my life on worse things.
Sure.
Birdemic being one of them.
Okay, so here's my question.
Which I've seen 3 times. It makes no sense.
It's 3 times on Birdemic, and you haven't watched Caffeine once.
Saying it and now coming out sounds really assholic.
I know what you're going to do tonight, right?
Yeah. I'm going to go watch Birdemic, I think it's still on Netflix. There's a part 2 coming out, by the way.
Yes. I think he has plans for a trilogy.
How does Birdemic get made? But never mind.
How does it get on Netflix? I mean, certainly Caffeine has a chance to be streamed in hundreds or tens of homes across America.
Tens of homes.
Netflix.
Yeah. About 18.
Okay.
I think 18's
I mean, and I think I probably already know the answer, but money is not an option. Like, you're bankrolled, and creatively you're free to do whatever the hell you want. What is your dream job?
Making a career out of being me. I literally just want to go around, make costumes, rent them out to people that want to use them for movies, keep making greatness, and get my storylines and my ideas out there, because contrary to what your belief is, I didn't have anything of my own. I've been creating original characters since middle school, you know, and a lot of them have sucked, and then a lot of them have evolved over the years to reflect my current status.
Right. See, I don't doubt that, and I don't discount that.
But I've never been strong about putting them out there.
Exactly, and what have you done with those characters? You invent the characters, but then that's half the journey. That's only half the journey. There's
exactly.
What's the story?
No fruition.
What's the...
there's stories. There's stories out there. I've been co-creating with my friend Josh Willoughby for years and years and years. But right now they're in kind of a creative purgatory. We just talk about it. We have sketches and folders.
I've come to describe myself as an artist in search of a venue. Because I'm very... You know, I can do video, I do music, I can do audio, I'll do illustration and comics and books and children's books and all this kind of...
everything, yeah.
So I'm an artist in search of a decent venue, a jack of all trades.
Right.
Creating the character is...
This is me, I've got it going on.
Is the
Where
artist,
do I fit in?
What's the venue?
Right, yeah.
What is the venue for this character? That's, to me, I'm not discounting that half of it, but for me, from where I am, what I do creatively, I am wired to think that's half the job, and until you get something of the other half, it doesn't count for anything. That's where I'm at.
Right. Well, I like to polish something before I give it off to someone or see it myself. I don't want to put anything out there that I'm not ready to see put out there yet, you know. Whereas you'd create some of your own characters by sketches, you wouldn't immediately publish those sketches and go on as if that's spoken word. And, you know, you want to refine them, you want to resketch them, you want to rethink the design, rethink the storyline and where they interact and where they reconnect inside your own little world in your head. And honestly, right now, I've just been devoting time to leatherworking and, you know, doing that whole thing, because that's taking off, and you kind of have to... It's another thing, and I'm sure you get this too, is when you have, and not patting ourselves too hard on the back, when you have so many talents and skills, it's hard to focus on just one.
Sure.
You know, where I love drawing, I like carving, I like leatherworking, I love, you know, everything I do, I love to do. I'm very passionate about anything I've ever done creatively and, you know, skill set wise. But it's so hard just to pick one and say, I'm doing this. Because you want to get out, you want to reach in the toolbox, and you want to experiment with different tools and bring it all together. But it's so hard to scatterbrain that. Otherwise, you know, you've got all these half-finished products, a circular table full of unfinished products. Where if you would have just had an arrow and just said, okay, we're just going to go leatherworking for the next 6 months, and then create glory, and then next 6 months art.
That's like kind of a fantasy of mine too, and I actually that's
split
part
into
of
6 different people and have you all.
To spend a year,
right,
and then break up like like every month, just wholly devote myself to one hobby. So I just explore 12 different hobbies in a year, but every month you live and breathe that one thing.
That's
and then that's like a documentary.
Let's do that. That sounds fun.
Right?
That sounds like not only productive, that sounds like productivity mounted on top of necessity, mounted on top on more creativity. It sounds like the whole kabang right there.
I mean, and you GoPros, and all you have to do is have a couple of you and I, you know, a couple of interesting people that are committed to living and breathing a different hobby,
right?
A different and I'm talking like really.
Immerse yourself.
Yes, there's like video. Yes, music. Like I have a ukulele now. I do. I barely can strum it, but I have a ukulele now, and I'd like, you know, okay, 1 month. It's just going to be learning that ukulele. I have a set of bongos. 1 month, just those bongos.
I bet after a couple years, you'd be really good at a lot of things.
Right.
And maybe taking this a little further. Maybe you should do like 10 months worth of your skills, and devote 2 of those months to skills you don't even have, and try and just...
Well, see, I wouldn't even say it. It's not even skill-based so much as hobby-based.
Right, yeah.
So, and I've done very little research into this, but, you know, when I first had the idea, I was looking at, you know, just a list of hobbies, and what if you just spent a month doing puzzles,
like learning about
puzzles inside and out, and doing different kinds of puzzles, and I mean, I think I think the plan actually to structure it, you would take 2 months of pre-production and planning everything out, and so you know what you're going to do throughout each month, and then the last 10 months of the year you're actually invested.
Now, when you say this,
things.
keeping in mind there's a 9-to-5 job, you're totally taking 9-to-5 jobs out of the equation, right? Because you can't make this work and still work a daytime job. I mean, you could try, but you get burnt out really quickly. If you had literally a month between the hours you wake up and then go to bed to devote to those hobbies, I think that really sells it. That really,
although
really
the other hand, it would be really cool. On the other hand,
to see someone try and break themselves.
That might actually be like if you're like 9 to 5, your job becomes that hobby for a month.
When does it become a job, and
when does it become super overwhelming?
Right.
So ukulele, as an example,
like
I don't know I can
I don't want to play it anymore. I've been at it for a week.
5 days, not a week, 9 to 5.
Yeah.
That might be a bit much.
Right. Completely agree. But
so
having a 9-to-5 job would add an element of realism, because most people 9-to-5 jobs.
So here's a question in this concept: what kind of hobby, like you don't even see yourself doing? It's so far out of left field that you think would be hilarious, that it would be you devote a month to. What would you like to do?
Oh my god! Horse masturbating.
A horse semen collector? Sure.
I guess that's more of a 9-to-5 job now that I think about it. I don't know if horses come 9 to 5.
That's not much of a... If that's a hobby, you probably need another... You're going to have to spend your next month... your next hobby is going to be therapy.
Right, sitting in a hospital.
Because it really is more of a job.
Right,
a responsibility than a hobby.
Still, there's no office hours for horse ejaculation. There's no... Horses will be coming 9 to 5. Done after that. Yeah, let's go and rethink that. That's more of a job than a hobby.
That's a terrible answer.
All right, let's keep that in.
I'm not editing any of this.
I know. Yeah, that's a good one though. A hobby, macrame. I don't know. That's just the stupidest one I could come up with. Crocheting.
Yeah, that would actually.
I'd really want to wear like an old granny outfit though, and like little glasses and a little hat, and just sit and watch my stories.
Yeah, we'd have to make the video interesting. So
of
you'd
course,
have to dress up.
I'd have to be gimmicky.
Really get into.
This is a reality show I'd watch. Yeah. Most creative people.
Actually, that would be screw the documentary movie. That would be great. Just a TV show for Discovery or ABC.
Right. It'd be very interesting. Very interesting, just to see a month's worth edited down into a few select episodes. Now, how would you do it? Would you do it a 12-episode season and 1 episode covering the entire month to edit it, to cut it all down?
I think you'd have to change the whole concept of, the primary concept of a year of creativity. I think maybe... I mean, you can keep the concept, but it's not going to really be broken. I don't know. I think you start saying, okay, the start of this, this is how we spent last year, and then episode 1 is, January through, it just break it up. I don't know, because could you spend an entire 30 minutes to an hour watching the month about the ukulele?
January's month will be about ukulele, so be prepared for a month's worth of episodes only about the ukulele. I think that gets a little tiring. I think if it were broken up, maybe an extended Lord of the Rings edition.
Yeah. Anyway.
What would your hobby be? I have to know.
Well, that was the extent of
your boring hobby.
Horse
ejaculation's already taken.
Well, the things that I've actually looked into, the puzzling was really that was interesting to me. Because there's so many. There were so I know, right?
Puzzling is.
I don't know out of left field what it would be.
What the devil, man? Reach down, deep down. What do you got?
Maybe Satanism. Why not?
I think that's a religion, not a hobby.
Well,
that's arguable, I guess. Yeah, all right. I'll throw you a bone.
That could work.
I could see devil worship as kind of a hobby.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what are you doing tonight? Oh,
bird watching.
Just setting things on fire. How
about here's a concept for an episode. A bunch of hobbies that are so boring, you just had to combine them all. So like
the worst
Satanism
of the worst.
And bird watching.
So I'm sitting next to you in a giant devil costume, lighting
fly fishing, and
bear wrestling,
skydiving.
Yeah, you were fly fishing, and I just out of left field. Pigeon feeding.
Pigeon feeding. And,
people watching.
And base jumping. We're combining too many extreme hobby things.
Yeah. Which probably some good ones could come of that.
Yeah. Okay, let's change tacks real and wrap up here.
Yep.
Pitch me, since you're so intimately familiar with the comic strip, pitch me a comic for Seminole Works.
For who?
Seminole Works. That's the name of my comic strip. Seminole Works for porn stars.
I haven't read this. I've read the title. I've seen it, and I was like, tee Seminole. You're talking about sperms. I can't really pitch it because I don't really know exactly what it is. Just run me down. You sell me what it is, and I'll sell you an episode. It's kind of just about, you know, create a real creative life and my creative life, trying to be creative and aiming for that seminal work when the reality is that there's just no such thing. And coming to grips with that reality. That try as hard as you want, you will never create anything truly great. It's not going to happen. Terrible thing to think about. Oh.
And so it's real, you know, it's life filtered through that lens. That's what the comics are about.
I thought it was going to be about porn stars.
No. Well, that's the point of the title.
Okay.
Seminal works don't exist unless you're a porn star. And then yes, it's literally semen. Otherwise, it's creatively, you know, because the real reality is that the only kind of seminal work, the only time you're going to ever be credited a seminal work, if ever, is when you're dead.
Yeah.
So what difference is that going to make to you?
It doesn't at all.
It's elusive. It's elusive.
Like the Yeti.
The greatest seminal work ever. Bigfoot.
Oh.
So pitch me a comic. Three panels.
I just can't wrap my head around it.
Should you can't wrap your hands around it? Got a laugh from the other room there. Were you laughing at the joke or the sound effects? Okay.
Yes!
You get that one.
All right. Well played, sir.
Okay, what should it involve you? Should I draw you into the comic?
You could.
Yeah.
Good looking
Well,
man.
then what would your comic be? You're so excited about being drawn into the comic.
I'm just that's overshadowed.
You show up.
I'm imagining
you show up
sketches,
in this hyper-sexualized leather sexual outfit
with obvious
and
codpiece.
Then I'm just like, it's not that kind of seminal work.
That's perfect. I get really excited because I hear seminal works and porn stars in the same sentence. My brain and my penis go running off into the right field to find.
And you get this gimp outfit, and I'm just like, no. That's not that kind of seminal.
This isn't what we're talking about. And then, just like that, my great aspirations are destroyed.
So, here we go. Your next job, just so I know what the hell I'm drawing, is send me a costume.
Okay.
Just sketch a costume. This sexual costume. Because I don't want to Google it myself. I don't want Sam to find that search history.
What? Why not?
Actually, no. I Googled seminal works for porn stars, and that was horrific. I can draw that, but
it's a sexual costume.
I know.
I can model for you. It's in my room.
It's done.
It's done. I'll bring it over and sketch, and you can do a 3D rendering.
This is a good conversation.
This is probably the longest conversation we've ever had.
Would you listen to this?
Yeah. Just to hear myself talk.
Just to hear yourself talk.
Would you?
You know, this is going to be probably longer than 78 minutes.
We've been talking for a while.
It is, yes. You're going to listen to this before you ever watch Caffeine. That's the sad truth.
You should have put me in Caffeine.
You're a terrible actor.
I know. Still should have put me in it. You would have had one more in the audience.
Yes, but when you watch Caffeine, you're going to be like, that smartest thing you ever did was not put
Fair point.
Put you in it.
My rebuttal to that is I am a terrible actor, but you edit me to be a good one.
That's a good note to end on.
I think so.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I kind of love you right now.
I'm a little chubbed.
All right.
In my heart.
I'm going to turn things off so we can get busy.
It's not off yet?
Not yet.